Welcome to
the Dork-Bajir Chronicles,
where an expert
and a new expert,
read through K.A. Applegate's stunning sci-fi serial.
Animorphs.
Join us.
Join us.
Join us.
Join us.
Join us.
Come on, get in here.
Hello, and welcome to the Dork-Bajir Chronicles. It's a podcast where we read through the Animorphs series one book at a time and then talk about it every week. Today, we'll be talking about book number 49. Fucking, I don't even have the name down. What's it called?
It's The Diversion.
Today, we'll be talking about book number 49, The Diversion. I'm Tessa, the expert.
And I'm Braden, the guy who knows the titles.
Yikes.
Fucking gotcha.
Fucking got me. Let's start off this week's episode with a twist. Today, we're going to start off with some... Ooh, yeah. Ooh, yeah. It's not actually a twist. We do this every week. We have got a couple of pieces of fan mail. First up, there's a graphic novel coming out. Mirror, mirror. Graphic novel is coming October 6th. The Invasion, adapted by Chris Grine. This is pretty cool. A lot of people are like, is this actually real? Is this actually happening? I'm kind of in that camp. I don't know if I'm going to believe this is real until I'm holding the book in my hands.
Well, it was shared by K.A. Applegate.
Yes, but you know, like, there's just been so much buzz and talk about graphic novels, and, like, I know things can go wrong in the publishing industry so often, but oh man!
I seem to remember a little while ago, somebody put out, like, a little tester of their own, almost, like a collaboration between a couple authors, as, like, a very, very unofficial... like, tester of the graphic novel.
Ooh. It was I know that they were doing almost a casting call for the artist, where they asked people to send in pitches of the art style, and then people were submitting, like, they would just post their own versions on social media.
Okay.
Sorry, is that literally what you just said?
No. The one I was talking about, I think, was, I forget all the artists' names, but, I think it was just like a little less. It was very, very unofficial, but they were but it was an attempt to like garner Scholastic and Michael and like, Catherine's attention.
Yeah.
Which
just try and be like,
is kind because like something like this doesn't just pop up overnight. Kind of makes me very, very sad for those guys, because this was already in the works. If this was already in the works, they didn't stand a chance.
Our next piece of fan mail comes from Dr. Pete himself at the Kingle Mingle. Last week's episode, you might remember, we talked about the fan mail, about the different versions of Book 5, the different covers you could see. We've got a picture of the gorilla cover that we all know and love. But Kingle Mingle is saying that Google shows that American versions with the lobster also exist. It looks very strange. That lobster is just making me think about District 9. In every single way.
I'm looking at... That can't be official. That is... I mean, maybe it's just the low resolution of the image, but there's such a different, like...
I'm wondering if this is all a prank. Text 1 to our number, Fanimorphs, if you think this is a prank.
Oh, he's saying the UK edition of the book, not the US cover.
Well, but he says Google shows that there are American versions with the lobster, and I believe we had someone who also said... that there was the lobster one was the only one that they read, but I can't find that tweet now. Okay, but
that does explain the slight design differences from the American to the UK version. Just like the lack of underlining of the title or the tagline and the title. Yeah, no border around the title. Yeah, okay, that makes some sort of sense. Thank you, Kingle Mingle.
And our last piece of fan mail. In the last episode, we threw out a question to the listeners. How would you kill Visser 3 in one-on-one combat using morphing technology? And we've got a couple of cool responses.
Yeah.
Legends of Zed at Dr. Bankruptcy. Black Mamba, 100%. 100%. Hell yeah.
We have one from Steve at Esnuin on Twitter. Morph a fly or mosquito capable of transmitting some deadly disease. Failing that, demorphing from an insect morph inside of him would probably do the trick, a la Megamorphs 2 and Jake. Esnuin with the strong butt play battle.
And it's very similar to Chris Grind's suggestion at Chris Grind. He would morph into a gnat and fly into their ear, then morph into a Yeerk and double infest their brain, and next morph into a bear.
Can you do that? Can you double infest?
I think if Visser 3 wasn't human morph, you could then infest his human brain. But I don't think you could infest him while he's in his Andalite form. Because in the Andalite form, there's already a Yeerk wrapped around the brain. So I don't think you can get two Yeerks snugging up on one brain. Now that's a t-shirt.
That opens a whole can of worms when, like...
A whole can of slugs.
Yeah, when something that has a Yeerk around its brain morphs, does the Yeerk not stay on, or...
I think the Yeerk gets absorbed into Z-space.
Then
it's
how
still
does it
still in control.
How?
Because it's still part of the whole brain. It's Animorphs. The Z-space technology is very strange, and Axe has never completely explained it.
Yeah. Well, he's tried.
He's tried. Marco keeps interrupting him. It's terrible.
I think we've just torn this entire series wide open.
No, but this has definitely been a thought that I have had, and definitely other people have had. Like, if Cassie was a Yeerk and infested somebody, and then they morphed, and then somebody else was a Yeerk and infested that creature, and then they morphed, and you could just go on and on and on and on and on until you have a whole lot of Yeerks all up in one brain. That would be wild.
Right.
Maybe, I think at that point, if you try to, I feel like the first time a Yeerk tries to infest somebody who's already Yeerked doing this kind of technology, I'm pretty sure Kryak just comes out of the wallpaper and is just like, no, bad. This is against the rules and it's not allowed. Flicks him off.
I think we have to... I don't think we can put out this episode now. I think we just blew up the entire premise of Animorphs and can no longer...
Animorphs is dead. Long live Animorphs. We have killed her. And she has killed my heart. Brayden, do you want to talk about this very tragic book?
Oh, God, yeah, there's a lot of...
God, I really love it, though.
This is very much a Tobias book.
It's so good.
We open with Tobias starving out in the wilderness. He is not having a great time hunting right now, but he finds Rachel, flies to her, and she predicts what he needs and presents him with, honestly, the worst thing on the McDonald's menu, a Big Mac.
Counterpoint, the worst thing on the McDonald's menu is either their salads or their Filet-O-Fish. Big Mac is a solid third worst place.
Okay, fair.
But the Big Mac is terrible.
Actually, I just had a Big Mac the other night, and I got a large Coke so I can mix in the last of some rum with it. And I majorly overmixed the rum to Coke ratio, and I got super fucking sick.
Oh no!
Yeah.
That's terrible.
Well, it happens. So Hawk Tobias eats some cooked hamburger meat, one of the cooked hamburgers, which I don't think would be good. Would that be good for a hawk?
I mean, it's just ground up hamburger patty. There's seasoning and salt in there that might not be perfect.
Fair.
But like, you know that some of the mice in the meadow are gunts to be nibbling on cowlicks.
Which really raises the question, why couldn't Rachel have just gone to like a Sobeys or like an IGA or something and just
just gotten literal raw meat?
Just picked up a little bit of raw meat and then got herself a salad.
I mean, because she's a kid. She doesn't think of this.
Because she wanted to lure her boyfriend into human morph so they could pork.
Also...
She didn't want to get any ham. She wanted to pork.
Hey, you made a bad joke.
Hey, that's a good one.
It was pretty funny.
Yeah, and after he eats that, he morphs into human morph so he can eat the rest of it as a human. And
also, I have a couple of thoughts about this little bit, if I may.
No, yeah, go hard.
To make one of my classic Tessa interruptions. So the bit where Tobias calls, at the very end of chapter 1, the bit where, so earlier Tobias had alluded, now I live as a hawk, I have to hunt, I can't just go to the cafeteria and get doled out mystery meat from some lunch lady in a hairnet. And then he sees Rachel and bald eagle morph, holding the McDonald's bag, flying to him. And he calls Rachel. I was like, Rachel, my own personal lunch lady in a hairnet. Don't ever tell her I said that. I always think about that.
How would we tell her that?
Right? Like, I mean, she's fake. Tobias, also you're fake. You're both fictional.
Yeah.
But it's very cute. Also, every single time I eat McDonald's French fries, I think about Tobias in this moment where he's waxing poetical about French fries. And it's like, you want them crispy on the ends and kind of soft and floppy in the middle. And I'm like, yeah, dude, you have the exact same taste of French fries that I do.
Well, it's at this point they end up syncing back up with the rest of the Animorphs. And they discover the sharing has a weird little something going on. They are doing... I read this when I was they're doing a blood drive, right?
They're doing a blood drive.
Yeah.
And also, some people broke into the gardens and were stealing animal DNA samples and got very agitated when the poor worker that they harassed said that they don't have any DNA samples of a red-tailed hawk.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. As well, they sort of put it together that the Yeerks, through the sharing, must be catching on that the Andalite bandits are not Andalites.
Or at least they have suspicions.
Yes.
So
they realize, holy shit, they're onto us. We need to do something now. Let's go to this blood lab. And they discover that yes, they go to a blood lab that the Yeerks have taken over, and Marco nearly dies. It's pretty fucking brutal.
It's it's one of those terrible brutal fights where Marco almost dies.
If anything,
I
think it's because Marco has in his battle morph, the gorilla is one of the most vulnerable members of the...
Literally, that's exactly it.
Yeah.
I think it just doesn't have the hide there.
Mm-hmm.
But in this case, they're all morphed into Hork-Bajir. And also, this is one of the first times since, book 2 where we've talked about their morphing outfits and what kind of morphing outfit they are. Because Marco has a new t-shirt that's the exact same color blue as the blue bands.
Yes.
For the blue band Hork-Bajir, the personal army of Viscera 1. So they pretend to be Blue Band Hork-Bajir, and they're like, haha, things are going really great. And then Grandma walks in, and things go very bad.
That is when, yes, boom, 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 fucking battle starts, everything starts raging away, and they realize, fuck, it's too late. They took samples of our blood from battles, found human samples. What should we evacuate our families now, or?
First point, before they leave the whole blood thing with that terrible battle, they see that there's this blinking orange light.
Right.
And, there's a match. There is a human match that matches some of the DNA that they have already found. Tobias's mom is alive.
Oh, fuck, of course.
And here's her address. So Axe is trying to, delete that info from their computer, but he has to use, 14 fingers to try and hackser it. And that's when the battle's happening, and then it's like, no, come on, we just have to go. We're actually dying. Marco's face was ripped wide open. And then they escape.
So, they go back to the barn, and they have a little bit of a debate about, should we blow our cover now, get all of our families out of here, and disappear into the wilderness? Or should we, or should we wait on it? And Jake makes the call that they will sleep on it and decide in the morning. Which turns out Tobias does not want to do, and he decides that he wants to go straight from his meadow to the address that was on his mother in the blood databank.
What's really one little sad part about this is that his mom's house, the address of it, is 5 blocks away from where he was living with his uncle. And he's why didn't she ever visit me? We were so close. What the fuck?
But this is where Tobias maybe gets his answer, because immediately he observes Lauren leaving the house with a seeing eye dog, and quickly realizes his mom, who we will all remember was at one point a fucking space soldier who has gone through time travel, is now just some like just a blind dog mom.
She was a funky, spunky little Brewster there.
Yeah.
Is it weird if I say she had Rachel energy?
Yeah, no, definitely a hot and like a real hot brand, firebrand Rachel energy in that first book. But now she's kind of, it comes on, she's very like, she's very much like I just have my dog and I go to church energy.
Tobias follows her. She, goes to the church. She works as like on the phone lines to help people who are in trouble, like in crisis. And Tobias is in Flymore flying around. Someone tries to swat him, and she says like someone's like, damn flies. And his mom, Lauren, laughs and says, no, don't try and kill the flies. They're all God's creatures too, you know.
Like very un-Rachel energy.
Over the top, just sweet mom energy filled to the brim.
Is this where there's a little bit? It's sort of unconnected. It's a sort of an unconnected sequence, but there's a point where Tobias flies over some woods where he knows humans are, and he almost gets ganked by some fucking Rambo motherfucker.
I think it was around the same area because at the beginning of the book, Tobias is trying to hunt, and he sees a mouse, and he goes for it, and then there's a rattlesnake that gets the mouse. Mm-hmm. So later that day, this was, I don't know, when they found out about, right before they were going to go to break into the blood bank thing, Tobias sees, like, a garter snake going across the lawn of some guy's house. And I think it's after he's spying on his mom, actually. Right. And he goes to kill the snake. He kills it. He starts to eat it. He's like, yes, live flesh, very delicious.
And he's like, I'll fuck up this snake for that bitch who stole my mouse.
Snake stole my mouse. Now I'm stealing a snake. This is life. And this guy in like a wife beater.
No shirt, but camo pants.
Camo pants. And this huge compound bow just comes out of the back door of the house that Tobias is in the lawn of. And just starts shooting at this bird. And Tobias is like, God fucking damn it. My human brain almost killed my hawk body yet again. Because I was like, I want to kill a snake. Because a snake ate my lunch.
I forgot my notes today, but I did put this down in the notes. It's not too overt, but I think this is a bit of an homage, sort of trying to compare like sort of the life of danger that Tobias now leads to, like, and considering the fact that he is meeting, not quote unquote meeting his mother again, sort of supposed to be contrasted with that, even more so than in a lot of the other books in this context.
I agree. There's a lot of just like, can I just say, this book was excellently written.
Yeah.
Who the fuck was the ghostwriter on this one, Brayden?
This one was ghostwritten by author Lisa Harkrider.
Lisa Harkrider, you did a bang-up job on this one. It oozes Tobias out of every page, but it's also, like, it's kind of poetic how he is, and it's not as depressing. I mean, especially in comparison to the last Tobias book, book 43. Which just started off with him talking about his PTSD from being tortured.
Yeah.
This one isn't, by comparison, a lot. Like, he seems to be in, like, a better mental state. And he's still got some sadness. But he's, like, just kind of living his life and struggling through it. And it's, some of the things he says are just beautiful and poetic. Like,
it's very One Tree Hill.
There's a line where he talks about, he says something and then he regrets. He wished he didn't say that thing. And this is what was written. I wanted to catch it and pull it back into my throat. Like, fuck, that's good writing. I like that.
Hell yeah.
So from here, they meet back at the barn the next morning, and they take it to a vote, and they decide, yes, they're going to break the masquerade and save their family.
Yes. There is, first they go to Rachel's family.
Nope, Cassie's family.
Cassie's family is first? Okay. I remember Rick Cassie's family better because I found it very comedic when, like, they're being like, there's no way this is true. Okay, maybe it's true, but, like, there's no way it's that bad. And then Mr. King shows them a hologram of one of the horrifying bloody battles, and Cassie's dad is like, yeah, we need to get out of here.
Yeah, okay, well, we're gonna go.
It's obviously not as comedic when I just describe it, but
it's kind of a weird dark comedy. There's also, like, some light comedy in there where Cassie's mom just like rubs her hands all over Axe's butt. She's just like, what is this strange animal? And it's just like scratching his rump like one might do to a horse.
Again, we're just describing the good jokes in the book, and it doesn't come up. It really, if any, this podcast, really what it is actually just advertising for the books, honestly.
Really,
when it comes
yeah.
right down to
It really is. Brought to you this week by Animorphs.
Rachel's mom is just like, what the fuck? I'm a career woman. I don't want to live in some fucking forest. What the fuck? And it's like it's similar circumstances, but where the real excitement comes in is
when Rachel's sisters call Axe a Pokemon.
Yeah. That's it. That's pretty good. But copyrighted. We can't say Pokemon. What the fuck are you talking about?
Sorry, they say
if we say Pokemon, and if we say Pokemon, then they'll fucking get us.
They'll fucking get us. I can't believe I forgot it. Sorry.
Okay. The real excitement starts when we get to Jake's house, and at first he thinks with Tobias and Axe, and he thinks that they're going to subdue Tom, starve the Yeerk out of him, at long last freeing them, yada yada yada. But that's not how it goes down. Tom got to his parents first, and Tom, Jake's mom, Jake's dad, now Yeerked, ambush them and try to get them.
I wouldn't really call it an ambush because Tobias spots the car speeding towards them, but it's just more Jake is in denial up until the very last second when his mom pulls out a Drake and beam and starts shooting.
Okay, fair.
But
they get jumped.
They do get jumped.
Ambush is the wrong word. They get fucking jumped.
They get fucking jumped.
They
don't get super injured though. Like Jake has a whole bit where he's like, "No, I want them to see this." And he's gonna morph Tiger, and they talk sense into him. And he morphs Peregrine Falcon right on the front lawn, and they all fly away and they escape.
Yeah.
And Jake says to Tobias, "Don't go for your mom. Like we're too late now to save anybody else."
And Tobias is like, "Shut the fuck up, Jake. Shut the fuck up, Jake.
Fuck you. I won't do what you tell me.
Shut the fuck up, Jake. If we had fucking done this shit last night, your fucking parents wouldn't be Yeerks."
No, he doesn't say that.
No, he doesn't. That's the insinuation.
Tobias is nice for that.
That's the insinuation.
But he peels off on his own. He's like, "Hi, I'm gonna go hunt." And then he goes to see his mom, and then Axe and Marco show up. They're like, "Yeah, Jake sent us after you, because we knew what you were gonna do." They follow his mom,
Yes.
Tobias' mom, Lauren. I'm just gonna call her Lauren, because that's way easier.
Lauren.
Lauren leaves with Champ the dog, the guide dog, and they go to the nearby 7-Eleven to do some grocery shopping. So the boys, our precious boys, they all go human, and they go into the 7-Eleven, and they act like hooligans. Axe creates an extreme disturbance in this poor 7-Eleven. They harass this disabled woman, like they steal her dog, which is like
It's
that's
genuinely
a crime.
disturbing.
It's not. I mean, I know that why they're doing it. There's a little bit where like Tobias sees that his mom bought milk that expires tomorrow, and he like steals her basket and switches the milk with milk that's not going to expire for a couple of weeks. Which is really
pull
cute.
this shit on this poor blind woman all the time. They throw out milk way before one day before it expires.
They really do. This 7-Eleven has not been... I mean, also, these three boys are making such a havoc, and the clerk at the 7-Eleven does not give a shit and kick them out.
This 7-Eleven is fucking over this blind woman. We need to go back. Oh my god.
Now this is no longer an advertising for Animorphs. Now this is a call to arms against this specific 7-Eleven in this specific Animorphs book.
We need to find the 7-Eleven that this is based on. This is Catherine and Michael sending us a message.
We know this was a real 7-Eleven.
Yeah.
Like, that clerk definitely knew those teen boys were stealing a blind woman's guide dog.
Yes! Holy shit, she didn't
do anything!
Oh, I'm just realizing all this now. What the fuck?
Yeah.
What the fuck? K.A., you painted a disturbing picture of a full-on fucking Nazi sympathizer 7-Elevener. 7-Eleven owner.
That's not the owner. It's probably the clerk.
Yeah, okay.
He's paid like $3 on the hour.
I don't get paid.
7-Eleven.
I don't get paid enough to stand up for blind people.
They steal her dog. Tobias acquires the dog. They get him into the harness, and he leads Lauren home. This is a very good and sneaky plan that they came up with on the fly, because the Yeerks that are following Lauren, there's a bag lady with like a basket that's like following her wherever she walks. There's a the boy waiting for the bus, and there's a mysterious van that's covered in vines that keeps moving around. It's like covered in vines and leaves and like weeds, like it's been there for forever, but it moves from like across the street to the other side of the street. It's very suspicious.
That is weird. I thought it had like them painted on. When I read that, I might have read it too fast. I thought it was like because it was like a flower van or something.
I don't think it was vines, but there was definite description about it having been there for a while.
Okay.
Trying to blend in, which is like everybody who lives on that street is gonna notice. What are you doing, Yeerks? You're terrible. So anyway, as Braden was saying, Tobias gets Lauren back into the house.
Yes.
And now it's just them in the house.
And he's hanging out as his mom's seeing eye dog and spends the whole night at his mom's house.
He does morph, he demorphs, don't worry. He's not a double Nothlit.
Yeah.
He morphs human to like dig through her shit. He finds a letter.
Yes.
From an insurance company, like that's from years ago, talking about a mysterious accident that left her blind and with amnesia, and how the insurance company is like, not our problem anymore, because this is never going to get better. You're not going to get any more money from us. Bye!
And Tobias does speculate, but seems pretty certain that this must have been something that was caused by the Ellimist, which is fucking brutal.
Does he speculate that? Maybe I read too fast and I missed that part.
He's talking about there is some internal speculation on his part that the Ellimist did that, which is fucking brutal if it's true.
Right.
Like, you think the Ellimist could have done the amnesia.
I mean, like, Lauren has already seen the Time Matrix. Like, she knows about some whacked up shit.
Yeah. And she fucked an alien.
She fucked an alien. She didn't tell anybody. Like, you know this, Ellimist. Just explain it to her.
She fucked a pretty boy centaur alien.
But
Probably was very disappointed when she had to do it in human form.
The suffering is what matters. Because if Lauren didn't suffer, then Tobias wouldn't be who he is now, or something. The Ellimist is basically like Dumbledore, where once you think about it, like, he seems like a cool, mysterious, powerful man with a beard, and then when you think about it, he's actually a shitty person.
Yeah, he's just the worst sort of author, sir. I'm sorry, Catherine and Mike. That's very harsh, but yeah, I understand where drama comes from in stories, and I understand what needs to be done. But when you're having it as in reality, when you're saying it's done by a god, some fucking... You start to wonder some things about that god guy.
Tobias, in the morning, brews coffee, and his blind mom wakes up and wanders into the kitchen and very calmly just says, "What the fuck?
Did my dog brew fucking coffee?
Who the fuck are you? I can, like, smell coffee and hear a person breathing. What's going on?" And Tobias is like, "Hey, I'm your son." And Lauren remembers that she had a son, but she has to explain, "Hey, like, when I came out of the accident, I didn't even know how to brush my teeth. I didn't even know what a tooth was. Like, I didn't think that I would be a good mom to take care of you, so I gave you to my sister, if that's who she was. And then they didn't tell me her name, and I didn't know where she lived, so I figured it would be better if you just never knew me."
What the fuck do you mean you didn't know where she lived? It was a couple... But this accident is so fucking convenient for the story!
I know, it's almost as if it was written that way.
By God.
By a God. It's terrible. It's like, also, how shitty do you have to be of a sister to not care about your blind, amnesiac sister who was just in a car accident? But you're just gonna steal her kid.
Well, I mean,
and then give it to your shitty brother.
I'm pretty sure we've kind of established that, yeah, Tobias's aunt and uncle were shitty people, so... I'm pretty sure there's some kind of clause in, like, Social Security that if a primary birth parent isn't present in somebody's life, you can't get as much for, like, child support for an adopted child or something. So there's probably that it might be something like that where she's just literally taking advantage of being a caregiver for Tobias.
What? Yeah, that makes total sense, because what we know of the aunt is that she was, like, very controlling.
Yes,
she pulled Tobias out of school to make him clean the house. Mm-hmm. She wouldn't let him go anywhere on the weekends a lot of the time. So, like, that kind of fits the character. If she was like, yeah, I'll take this kid and I'll take more money and just cut off contact to my useless sibling.
My useless, blind, brain-damaged sister.
My useless, disabled sibling, which is also, so Tobias did his little thing. He talks to the Animorphs and is like, hey, y'all, I watched her for, like, 1 full day. She didn't have anything Yeerky in the house. Yeah. She didn't drop character once. And Jake's like, that's not proof. And
people have eyes on her.
I know. But also, like, what if we just wait 2 more days and then she'll be fine? Like, she won't go anywhere control now. We'll just keep her under wraps for 2 days. And then it will be good, right? Also, she's blind and the Yeerks are ableist and they probably don't want her as a host. And Jake's like, you know what? Okay, fine. So they come up with a plan to save Tobias's mom.
Ableism saves, baby!
Oh, let's not do that. Let's not say that. That's going to be the part that they rip out. It's like in the second Scooby-Doo movie where Fred says, you want me to say that I think Coolsville sucks. That's what I think about all the time about the internet. Apparently, I'm always terrified.
Apparently, James Gunn wrote those. I
did know that.
And apparently, his first draft of the first movie was way hornier. Like, there's a couple of little moments in both movies where it's like, oh, Velma gets sexied up. But, like, according to a couple of interviews, he was full on using it as his, like, outlet for all of the sexual feelings he ever had for that cartoon character, which I fucking stand for. Hell yeah, Gunn. Hell yeah, James.
Stick to your guns, man.
Stick to your double-end guns.
The plan.
Right, yes.
The plan to save
they go to
Tobias'
Lauren,
mom.
and they say, hey, put on this sexy, tight leather suit. No, wait. I'm mixing up movies. I'm sorry, I'm mixing up the stories.
Now you're thinking of Scooby-Doo again.
Now that I'm thinking of sexy, rubber-wrapped Velma.
Oh, God. Why is every podcast episode we do so horny and weird?
Well, we're talking about teenagers and fucking transforming into animals. It's inevitable.
Yeah, but they're written for 9 to 12-year-olds. The horniness has been removed from the books with a scalpel.
Kidding me? 9 to 12-year-olds can find 9 to 12-year-olds like us can find the horny and can squeeze the blood out of a stone when it comes to horniness.
I didn't know what horniness was until I was like 28. The plan. So in 2 days' time,
thank you.
Lauren is going to go to the park and with the dog, and they're going to do a dog swap, which they do. Axe is keeping a careful count as they swap the dogs out like those cars in a racing track.
Yes.
I forget what they're called in the little pit guys.
Pit stop.
Pit crew.
Pit crew.
Pit crew!
Stop for the pit crew.
The bag lady, the Yeerk that's following them, like, starts walking towards while they're doing the swap under the tunnel, and then they leave before she gets to them, and she scowls and has to run back, pretend that, oh, I'm just a regular old person, I haven't been Yeerked at all.
I'm just an old bitch.
They go to Lauren's house again. They have discreetly tucked the morphing cube into Lauren's purse, so Tobias instructs her to acquire, or to get the morphing powers by touching it, then acquire him, and then morph him. The whole time that this is happening, Tobias is, like, talking very calmly and being really soothing about it and, like, patiently explaining step by step how to do it, because his mom is getting kind of freaked out. And the other Animorphs are screaming at him to run because the Yeerks are closing in. They've got choppers, they've got SUVs, they got guns, they got Granny with, like, a Dracon beam leaning out the side of a helicopter. It's this enormous, like, so Lauren morphs a hawk. She can see again. That's kind of a trip. Rachel runs in as an elephant, grabs the morphing cube in her trunk, and, like, breaks a hole in the house so the birds can fly away. It's this huge, big battle scene
that I very much hope is setting the standard for these last 5 books, because I liked having 2 very involved battles in one book. I really enjoyed that.
Super intense, very well described. There's a bit where Tobias is going to, like, do some sweet flying tricks and try and get the helicopter tangled up in phone lines or, like, to break. And then Lauren is like, no, Tobias, you'll be killed, while he does this one maneuver and, like, slams her body into him.
And Granny's got that Dracon beam out and just bleh, bleh, and Lauren ends up pew, taking that shot
She
for
smashes
Toby.
on the ground, just like bleeding out of the back of her, and Tobias lands by her and is like, demorph! Demorph and run! And she's like, no, I can't demorph. If I demorph, I'm blind. I won't be able to run away. He's
What?
like, no,
No,
you gotta try.
Yeah.
Also, you might be healed. And she's like, what? Demorphs, and she's healed.
Why the fuck didn't you say that, you little brat?
They run away in this big cinematic ending, and everybody lives in the Hork-Bajir Valley now. Rachel's mom is teaching the Hork-Bajir how to read and write, and also is drafting up a constitution for them because some of them are fighting about what kind of bark they want to eat. Cassie's parents are just in heaven. Marco's parents are in heaven. Jake is all alone, and Tobias has a mom now, which he remarks is very strange.
Yeah.
Like it's a swap. Jake was, poster boy for a perfect nuclear family, and now Tobias has a mom and Jake has nobody.
But apparently the morphing did not restore her memories, which is interesting.
It's a conversation that's happened a bit in Animorphs fandom, and it will come up again in a couple of later books. Just like what can morphing technology heal and what can't it heal?
Yeah.
And like Cassie has a suggestion, like what are memories? Like her eyesight. Well, she was born with like fine eyesight, and then the accident is what injured it. So she was obviously restored to how she was before the accident.
Yeah.
But what is a memory stored as? Cassie suggests, like, is it just, like, electricity? Is it part of your soul? And I'm like, well, I don't know if it's really part of your soul.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
That feels a little bit too familiar.
Another quick little thing. When they switch Tobias and Champ, they just keep him in a car, which is, like, not something you could get away with writing down these days.
No, you don't want to do that.
No.
Well, definitely, no, they don't want to do that. Oh,
Yeah.
and then, like, Tobias gets a little bit jealous because Lauren is, like, crying and touching her dog's face and hugging him, like, so tight. And he's like, oh, I wish my mom would do that to me. And then he's so mad at myself. He's so mad at himself.
Loved a bird. Wish mom loved a bird. But she took a bullet for him.
She took a bullet for him.
She took a laser bullet from Granny Goodness for him. Jake and Tobias,
their whole dichotomy in this bit, like,
yes.
Jake does tries to do a suicide a little bit after seeing his family get captured. Well, so Jake shows up at Cassie's barn. He's like, I almost didn't get away. My dad wanted to go buy a new, like, lawnmower, and Tom's gonna go with him, so it was gonna become this whole family thing, but I said that I had to help Cassie's dad with the barn. And that's when they voted to save the family. That's when Tom infested his parents. Like, it started so early that day that there was no hope for him.
Yeah.
And Jake is like, he talks about how, when we should have backed up and thought about it a little bit, the blood bank, whole excursion. He's like, no, instead we rushed right in. And then, when we had to rush right in, saving the family, I made us wait a whole fucking night. Like, what the fuck? Tobias remarks about how he's never seen Jake like this before. Jake's always been stoic in front of him, and he's always wondered how Jake could do it. And then he realizes, seeing Jake dive bomb the pavement, that no, Jake was just like all of the rest of them. He was only pretending for the sake of the group to have it together.
Yeah. There is a point where they do establish, though, Jake is a little worried that they'll, like, kill his family, but Tobias is like, no. That's how they're going to get. Don't worry about them dying. That's how they're going to try to get you.
Yeah, they'll keep them alive, because the Yeerks know that, like, if they die, then Jake will, he'll probably just snap.
It reminds me a lot of the famous and very deep anime Neon Genesis Evangelion. If you will. No, I'm kidding. Okay, the joke was supposed to be that I was going on another tangent, but I don't really feel like that landed.
That landed?
Yeah.
I think we all just believed you were about to go on a tangent
yes.
about Neon
I would
Genesis
definitely.
Evangelion.
I would definitely do that.
I believe it. There is a bit where I think it's when Jake is like doing something, or he has this kind of energy that Tobias says is very much like Rachel. Like, I know that there's a lot. Was there a line that he was like, Jake smiled and it was Rachel's smile, or something like that? There's something in his energy where it's like, oh, he's like acting like his cousin. Like Tobias can see that they are related for sure. I think it's when they're waiting for his parents to show up.
Yes.
At the very end, he talks about having that kind of Rachel energy, and I'm wondering if
it means that Tobias gonna fuck Jake. Gonna start an inter-family throuple.
I mean, kissing cousins is a thing. Speaking of, we've got time for an OTP alert.
Tobias, we have very weird dates.
I am with Rachel and Tobias. I love hanging out with my partner and eating McDonald's, but I do not eat Big Macs. I think that's what made the date weird, is because she ordered him a Big Mac.
Yeah.
Like, I get myself a junior chicken and a McDouble, and I got the best of both worlds. And if you really want, you can put them together and make what's colloquially known as a McGangbang. I've never done it.
You're talking about the junior. You said. Did you say?
I said junior chicken burger and a McDouble.
Oh, I thought you said...
You split apart the McDouble.
I thought you said something else.
You put the junior chicken burger inside. They do have the McChicken burger, but it's almost the exact same thing as the chicken burger, and it's like $3 more expensive. Why bother?
What do you think that Rachel and Tobias... Is a Big Mac, they're splitting a Big Mac their go-to? Are they trying
No, they're not splitting it. Tobias eats one of the patties as a hawk, and he eats the rest of the burger as a human. And I think they split the fries.
Okay. Right, because he's also a homeless boy.
He is also a homeless boy.
Oh my god.
Rachel's like, why don't you get some more lawn furniture out here in your meadow? Also, okay, there's a bit here. Do you ever... This is a question for the world. Do any of y'all out there have a friend like I have a friend? And he is just one of those people who refuses a ride home. He says, no, I can walk even when it's dark or it's cold. He doesn't think that he should be taken care of. Like, he always wants to prove that he's independent. Like, he's like a stray dog. Like, you know he's going to be okay on his own, but you want to take care of him anyway. And Tobias is that guy right now. So we're seeing it from that perspective where he's like, I know Rachel would, like, just be able to take care of me. Like, what's wrong with me that I feel like I have to live by some kind of code out in the wild? And I kind of want to shake him. And I'm like, yes! Why are you making yourself suffer? There is no inherent goodness in suffering. Why? Why are you choosing to suffer for the sake of it? One last thing before we move on to our next segment. Rachel, being a bear, driving a forklift is probably her second favorite thing to do in the world.
Hell yeah.
Her first favorite thing to do in the world being...
Smooch.
An elephant and stopping cars.
Oh.
I was going to... Smooch. I mean, smooching might be up there anyway. How about we jump from this good joke to...
Animorphs. This is the segment where we diagnose an issue in this book and try to find a more creative and effective solution. Tessa, my good friend, my boon companion, blood sibling, how would we have dealt with the blood collecting issue?
So one thing that Marco and Axe did after the meeting when they were going to go bust into the blood collecting facility, they did something that was pretty cool. They went online and they tried to hack into all of the blood banks and all of the hospitals all over the city. Yeah. And the one that they couldn't hack into would be the Yeerks. Because they would be the only ones who would, like, super protect it so that Axe's 7 fingers on each hand couldn't hack into it. Because, as we all know, the more fingers you have on a keyboard at one time, the better hackster skills you have.
Well, obviously, while we're on it, obviously, the easiest solution then would be for Axe to get a hot, big titty goth girlfriend to double hack with.
Oh, no, double hack, for sure. But, like, it's kind of late game to be introducing new Animorphs, so, like, they really shouldn't do that.
Well, I mean, what are Lauren's feelings on dark makeup?
Don't set Tobias's uncle up with his mom. That's weird.
No, it's not. They're not blood.
No.
They aren't blood. I'm sorry. I did that led into a much bigger joke. Issue. Anyway.
I feel like just even taking a second and then realizing that it's pointless to try and go in. I mean, we are going to figure out a better way of breaking in, obviously. Yes. But, like, as the kids realize as they leave the battle and they limp away, fuck, we've bled over every single battle. What's the point? Like, they have samples of our blood already. They've had samples of our blood for forever. Oh, they've only just now realized that they can start doing something about it.
What I would do is use morphing to essentially scatterbomb not just this city, but cities and towns miles over. Get the Yeerks so much blood to sample and test, it will clog up whatever system they have in place. Because they can only... they can only test a certain number of samples at a time, even if it is like with sci-fi technology, like let's say 100 at one time. It would be
like you mean the Animorphs should volunteer for the blood drive to collect samples?
not
from
themselves.
people?
Not themselves. That would make it too easy if they did find them. I think they should they just need to bring in. They need to bring in such volume to this blood drive for the Yeerks to collect from and sample and test that it holds them back, if not, like, maybe just a couple of hours. Maybe it just throws off their tests and their findings by a couple of hours. But it's a couple of hours more than they would have had.
I'm just wondering if the sunk cost fallacy, that's not actually anything. I just had the thought, oh, sunk cost fallacy. I wanted to say it. But I'm just wondering if that would make any sense time-wise. Like, it would take a lot of time for them to go out, volunteer, bring blood in.
I'm not saying they would have to officially volunteer. I'm just saying...
But, like, they would have to get the blood somehow, right? Are they going to break into people's houses and steal their
blood?
No.
They aren't going to collect the blood. They're just going to encourage... my idea was, air bombing flyers into...
Well, yeah, but that's still, like, a lot of time that they would have to spend air bombing the flyers. If they only get a couple of hours out of it, and also another wrench that I just thought of. Maybe a couple of hours. Might be even more, depending on how many samples can be tested at once by the Yeerks. The Yeerks already have a match. They have a match of Tobias and his mom. So what's a better way for them to destroy that evidence and get out with their heads intact? Oh my god. They have to pipe bomb blood clinics. I was wondering if they just blow up the building. Like, Axe, hey, remember that fighter jet pilot you just had a couple books ago? Wait a minute, you think that fighter jet pilot... that kind of big bomb, because that would decimate the whole city. That would take hours to get another... That would take a while to get another plane again, also. I mean, isn't it just under his scoop? Realistically. Just under his what? His scoop in the woods. Did he just park it in the woods and leave it there? No, he didn't. No. I'm being facetious. They crashed the plane that he used. But, like, bombing the facility might make more sense. Are you saying that we can make bombs? I'm saying that once they break in... Okay, so what if we just do the Animorphs plan? Tessa, sometimes... I'm very glad that Mikael isn't here anymore. And you and me can work together to make a pipe bomb to solve Animorphs ER. We're finally going to blow up a building to solve an Animorphs ER. Hell yes. I think if we follow the Animorphs plan beforehand, like what they did before, the circus was in town, so Rachel morphed an elephant, broke into the building, broke the Gleep biofilter so that they could sneak in as flies. Okay. Yes. That's kind of messy, but it works. Then they morph Dork-Bajir. They tape blue bands on them, and they say, per Visser 1's orders, we have to go into this heavily guarded room, and they get in handily. And then Axe has to hack, because they realize, oh shit, now we're here. How about instead of hacking, you just unplug that computer and, like, blow it up? Ooh, or just, you don't even have to blow it up. Like, a lot of these places would have, places with, like, large computer databanks like this would have on-site servers, right? Just blow up the server room. You can just you don't even have to blow them up. You can just whack them to fucking shreds. I would never thought I would have heard the day where I suggest we blow something up to fix an Animorphs ER, and Braden says we don't even have to blow them up. He left a piece of him behind. He left a piece of himself behind in me. Mikael has bequeathed you. With the hosterly duties of saying, no, we can't use bombs. Okay, so our two ideas are a very contentious one, where it's encourage a huge amount of people to donate to the blood drive and clog up the system, and a less contentious one, whereby we bomb or more likely just generally destroy the databanks. The one thing the Animorphs, they said that they didn't want to destroy them because that would prove that they were humans and they were on the right track, because why would Andalites care about this? Right. But they already have a match for Tobias's mom. Yeah. Why not just wipe it out and then take their family? Then they won't be able to, won't have Tobias's mom's address. They still don't know exactly which humans. It might give them, like, a day or two. At least a couple hours. Which... this late in the game, that's all you really need.
True. Okay. I think we came up with 2 pretty solid plans there.
I think so.
All right.
My life,
my morph.
In this segment, we decide on what the best use of the main morph of this book would be in our own lives. Brayden?
Yes, Tessa.
How would you use a German Shepherd morph in your own life for purely personal reasons?
I would take pictures of myself in dramatic and amazing poses, in like around and about my house, like really getting along with my cat, especially, around like my aesthetic wall hangings and stuff like that. I would probably like do something crazy, like a jump, get some friends to throw me frisbees and shit, and take like boomerangs of it, and basically I would just become a major Instagram celebrity.
Nice.
Yeah.
With just like a really well-trained dog.
Exactly.
I love it. I would probably just use a German Shepherd morph just as any regular old dog morph. But if I wanted to be sneaky, after maybe one too many milk bones, I'd sign up for the police academy and I'd try to get all of the police dogs to break away and go live in happiness somewhere else. Fuck the police. Run away, police dogs. Let's all form a herd in the wilderness and become warrior dogs. We have asked our friends at home what they would do with a German Shepherd morph. We've got a couple of people. Kinkle Mingle and Movie Polls would herd German sheep, which is adorable.
Both of them. Just to clarify, they both had the same. Movie Polls specifically said, shepherding the sheep in Deutschland seemed like a good start. And Dr. Pete at the Kingle Mingle says, herd German sheep. And Movie Polls comes in with a head-tapping guy gif that says, great minds think alike. So, good to see the fans getting along.
I like Blake Brinkley's response.
Yeah,
Blake Brinkley would come in second at the Westminster Kennel Club dog show. I'd have human intelligence, but that shit looks hard.
Yeah.
And you know what? It does.
And you know what? This one, all the fans came in with some very wholesome ones today. Ricardo Martinez comes in and says, get someone to tell me I'm a good boy. Esplin9466 simply says, smell the flowers. And Piper, shiny and chromatic, at Pepperderg, says, frolic and run, man. Enjoy that fucking serotonin hit. This is... like, nobody's saying anything. No
one's saying that they would, like, try and sniff dog butts or, like, be really weird and creepy or, like...
or become... nobody's saying they would take advantage of it and become Instagram famous or steal dogs from the police. Nobody's doing anything useful
our fans
or
are
to
a lot
themselves or the world. They're just
enjoying their goddamn life.
They're just enjoying life. Why can't I enjoy life anymore?
They're just fucking living in this 2020 life. We got some good fans. We love you all. And you know what else we love? We love hearing some predictions.
Predictions. Book 50, The Ultimate. We see on the cover Cassie becoming an owl. And it's actually a pretty good one. Our tagline is... now, there are no more secrets. Okay, so...
damn. And it's also the ultimate, which always makes me think of that Lindsay Lohan song that played at the very end of Freaky Friday, I think it was.
What?
This song was partially the inspiration for the band that I desperately wanted to start when I was 13 years old, where I would be lead guitar and lead singer, despite the fact that I didn't know how to play guitar at all.
Well, I was the lead bassist and a lead singer in a band in high school, so it's not that far off. But and I didn't know how to sing or play bass.
You actually did it, though. All I had were dreams of me being Sparky Cat in my band, The Ultimates. Oh, yeah, bud. That was a big dream for a long time.
Okay. One thing I will say about this cover is that middle morph, the face, it it's all very natural. It's all a very sort of natural progression. But that middle face does looks like some something that came straight out of Nazi Germany, to be quite honest. Like a painting of that middle face looks like a painting of like a Jewish person from Nazi Germany.
You know, okay, now that you say that, I get what you mean. Yeah, it looks like one of those terrible caricatures where they're just like, hate Jewish people.
Exactly.
And it's like, ooh.
Yeah, that's just something that I noticed. I'm very sorry. One thing that's also interesting about this one, the background, rather than having a single solid color, just sort of like with light and then darker shades of it throughout, it's got both a green, purple, red, yellow. It's a full rainbow of shades on this one, which is very interesting.
It's a very pretty cover.
Yeah.
She's morphing a great horned owl.
Yes.
This is one of my favorite books, I think.
This prediction, I'll also say, this prediction has gone off the rails very quickly.
Yes, sorry, your prediction for what the book is actually about.
Now there are no more secrets. It's out. They've gone into hiding. The Yeerks know who they are. We're getting into open warfare. And I think the ultimate... I don't know. Probably that title means nothing. I think that this one is going to be about interacting with the rest of the world now openly as freedom fighters against an alien force. I think we are going to see them interacting with like generals and maybe a president or two, or like telling maybe more people are going to get morphing powers.
That would be a huge twist.
Maybe.
I mean, they did start with Lauren in this one, so like,
yeah,
the build-up is there.
I think they're gonna give some adults some morphing powers, maybe. But probably like badass soldiers, so that they never have to fight again. And Rachel will, I don't know, fucking whine about it. Maybe die. That's something we haven't talked about in a while. That there's that one spoiler meme that I saw that you and Mikael tried to play off, but I'm pretty sure is going to come true about Rachel being dead.
I mean, they all die of old age at the end of the last book.
Oh, but Rachel goes first because it turns out like it's this is actually so the ultimate actually is a huge time skip, and they're all geriatrics. The war is over, and they're all like, you know, they're all very old, and they're sort of like accepting death. But Cassie goes first because she picked up a smoking habit. Or Rachel goes first because she picked up a smoking habit.
That's exactly it. You cracked the case. I tried to keep the truth from you for so long.
Oh, and of course Tobias is already dead because he's a hawk still. Or it just jumps so far ahead and it's like, man, it's crazy how the fucking Elvis made me a person again before I died as a hawk. And they're like, yep.
Maybe a human man.
Made me a human man with a big human man dick. And it's great that he fucking circumcised it for me, too.
I've been
I
trying
didn't want
to
have to worry about that.
Of a good segue, and I had one, and then you kept going, and you said human man dick. So
big human man dick.
If you are also a human, with or without a dick, either way, you can find more of our stuff on Twitter, Tumblr, Instagram, or Facebook.
Remember to subscribe on iTunes or wherever you get your podcasts, or else in the next episode I'll also include big boy man dick. Big boy man dick.
I'm Tessa, the expert.
I'm Braden, the guy who talks about dick a lot.
This has been Phantomorphs, the Dork-Bajir Chronicles.
Yeah, we did it!
We did it!
It finally happened! Dork-Bajir Chronicles!
Dork-Bajir! The joke that's never been made before!
Woo-hoo!
Episode 132, and we did it.
We did it.
This is our legacy. Our collective legacy?
That's not a thing anymore.